This is the English Literature Web YouTube channel. This channel uploads the videos on English literature, English grammar, English phonetics and phonology, English syntactics, English semantics, and English classes or speaking courses. Remember, here today I am Prof.L.B.Gayakawad is talking on the fourth part, and the title of the fourth part is the types of narration. Remember, this is the topic which is very important for the students of English language as well as of any languages. Now we are discussing the limited third person point of view, which is used by an anonymous narrator who follows one character's perspective. Remember, here we are discussing, or we have come this point from the part third, and now we have entered into the part fourth. So the topic goes on that the limited third person point of view is used by an anonymous narrator. Remember, the anonymous narrator. The anonymous narrator means the narrator is completely unknown. Unknown means that narrator is completely unfamiliar to us, and that unfamiliar narrator uses the limited third person point of view, and that is the limited narration or the point of view. That's why it follows, or the character follows, or this view follows, I will say, or the character follows, I will say, or the writer follows, I will say, one character's perspective only. It means that this writer follows there only the view of, or the outlook of, or the narration of, or the perspective of only one character. Means only one character is described there by the writer, and that's why this narration is called the limited third person point of view. Since 20th century, the limited third person point of view has been most commonly used. For example, I will give here Harry Potter's books and J.M. Coaches disagree. Remember, here the limited third person point of view is very much popular in the 20th century, and this is used on a large scale, and there are the examples of this narration are Harry Potter books and J.M. Coaches disagree. These are the best examples which have given us the particular limited third person point of view, and this is called really speaking the great point of view which has given us the one character's perspective. Means that perspective is related with the knowledge, opinions, feelings of society, or some experience of the character, or the writer wants to make that character very much successful, and that's why this limited third person point of view is used by that particular writer. Now we are discussing on the subjective or the objective point of view. In the subjective narration, the narrator informs the feelings, desires, thoughts, and opinions of one or more characters. Remember, the subjective point of view, or the narration, or the outlook, or I will say the style of storytelling, uh, in it the narrator or the writer or that character explains the feelings, desires, and thoughts with opinions of one or more characters. means there are one or more characters. Means sometimes the writer takes one character, or sometimes that writer takes the many characters, I will say, or at one time also he can take one. He can take more characters, not one character, but he can take more characters also. If there is one character, it is limited for the third person. Remember, there is only one character, that's why it is limited for the third person. For the third person means what? We understand the limited thing there, because there is only one character, and if there is the only one character, that only one character itself is one or limited, and that's why we understand very limited from that limited character or only one character. There is the reader who is limited, means there is the reader who is limited to the particular character's thoughts. Means we are the readers and we read, or we are the audience, or we look, or we are the researchers who do the research. So all these researchers, readers, or all these persons who cannot know more, they only understand the limited things, particularly regarding the character's thoughts. Means the thoughts of the characters are limited there because there is the only one character. He may be the protagonist, means that character may be the main hero. Protagonist means the main hero. He may be the main hero, that is the main hero in the first person mode, and that main hero is explained in the first person mode, means in the first person narration. Means the writer uses there the first person narration to explain the character of the main hero. That is, the importance is given only to that main character. It means that there is the importance which is given only to that main character, and the focus is given only on the character of that main person, main hero, or of that main protagonist. That is the hero or the heroine. Means the thoughts of hero, the moralism of hero or heroine, everything is given there. Means that is the important thing. It means that the hero or the heroine are very much important, and that's why the importance is given only to the hero or the heroine, and that is called the particular limited characters, feelings, or thoughts. Except giving personal descriptions, means there are no personal descriptions using third personal pronouns, means there is no use of the third person pronouns. For example, we can take here of such literary piece, and that is the Gabriel in James Joyce, the dead. So this is the best example in which we have seen the particular character's feelings. Omniscient methods in certain third person are also classifiable using the third person subjective point of view when they, means the omniscient methods, switch between their thoughts and feelings of all the characters. So the explanation goes of this reading is that omniscient methods in certain third person are also classifiable, means these things are very much classifiable, means they are very great things, or they are explained on a great issue, means they have given the more importance because they are high, because they are classical, and the writer has used there the third person subjective point of view, because the third person subjective point of view is that the writer wants to say something to the readers or audience or the I will say studious persons or the researchers about the motto purpose of his own, and that's why here he uses the third person subjective point of view. And when the methods of omniscient narration uh, uh, switch or exchange the thoughts between the characters, means the thoughts of the characters are switched or exchanged from each other or between each other. That is the narration, which is really very great narration. And in this way the writer switches there or exchanges there the I will say the experiences of the characters, the thoughts of the characters, the feelings of the characters, the desires of the characters, and these are the desires of all the characters. Means every character is counted there, every character is given importance there. In many of the 19th century novels, third person subjective is sometimes called the over the shoulder perspective, as the narrator only described events only pursued, that is understood, and information known by a character. Remember, the explanation is that in many of the 19th century, it means that in the 19th century there are some literary pieces written, and there in those literary pieces the third person subjective point of view is sometimes used, and that is called the over the shoulder. The second name is given there, and that second name is over the shoulder perspective. Means that point of view or that narration is called over the shoulder. As because why is it called the narration of over the shoulder? It is called over the shoulder because the narrator only describes the events. It means that the narrator only describes the events. Only events are described by the narrator, and that's why it is called over the shoulder. Means this narrator completes only the responsibility, and that's why it is called over the shoulder. It is said there. And only pursued means those things are only understood, and information known by a character. It means that that information is known by the character, or the character has known that information, the character has understood that information, or the character has pursued, that is understood, or that is the information, or that is the experience which has been experienced by that character. And in this way, the important point is that in the 19th century novels, in this way the third person subjective narration was used. Dramatically, this is equal to the first person. Remember, this point of view is called the equal point of view dramatically to the first person. Equal means what? I will say similar or of the same weightage. Here it allows in depth the revelation of the protagonist's personality. Remember, the explanation goes that here it allows in-depth revelation. Now revelation means what? There is the particular permission of revealing and disclosing of the personality of the character. Means the writer there reveals, opens, develops the character, and the writer discloses or ends that character also means that character is the protagonist character or the main hero or main heroine's character, and that is the personality of those characters, and that personality or those personalities are uh, developed or ended by the writer, and that is put by the writer in depth. In depth means the writer gives it in detailed sense. There are some writers who will shift perspective from one view point character to another. Remember, the explanation is that there are some writers, not more writers, there are some writers who will shift perspective. Means there can be or there may be some writers who can shift or who can change perspective, means their attitude of narration, or perspective means I will say their way of storytelling from one viewpoint character, from one view point character means that character is telling only the one view, and the character has only the viewpoint, one viewpoint, and from one viewpoint character to the second character, that writer changes or that writer goes from one character to the second character. And the examples can be given here, or we can give the examples here. The first is Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time and George R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. So these are the two best examples which are said here. Freely in indirect speech, there is the presentation of a character's thoughts in third person narrative voice. Remember, the writer uses here the indirect speech, and in the indirect speech method or narration, there is the presentation of a character's thoughts, because the writer gives there the presentation or description or explanation of that character's thoughts, opinions or feelings, and that is given in the indirect speech. Means indirectly it is given, it is not given directly, and that is given in the third person narrator's voice. Means the writer gives it in the voice of the narrator, but that narrator is in the third person. In the third person means that narrator is he, she, or it, and that is given in the third person narrator's voice. The next type of the narration is objective point of view and narration. Remember, the objective point of view doesn't tell story with describing any character's thoughts. Remember here, when we describe here the objective point of view, then we explain that, or the explanation goes on, or we can see that the objective point of view doesn't tell us the story with describing any character's thoughts. With describing any character's thoughts means there are the thoughts explained with more characters. Objective, because the objective or the purpose of the writer is not to explain only the feelings of any character, or the I will say the opinions of any character, means he talks there very detailed. Opinions, feelings, experiences are talk there on a large scale, that is we can say. Still, it is the honest point of view. Still, this point of view is called the honest point of view. This narration mode is frequently seen outside of fiction in newspaper articles, biographical documents, and scientific journals. Remember, this narration is also used by the persons outside also. Means outside also means what? They are not used only in the fictions. They are not used only in the novels. They are not used only in the literature, but they are used outside the literature also. Means they are used in the newspaper. Means the editors in the newspaper also use this particular objective point of view. Then some writers write articles, means some researchers write their articles, and while writing these articles also, this objective point of view or the narration is used by the article writers also. Then biographical documents are there, means some writers use the biographies, and those writers also use this objective point of view, because objective point of view, it is the particular point of view which tells the objective means it tells the purpose of the writer. Means when there is the biography, so through that biography the writer wants to tell some objective, he wants to tell some purpose, or he wants to give some message to the society, lesson to the society, and that's why the biography writers also use this objective point of view. And scientific journals, means there are some scientific journals in which also the scientific writers use this objective point of view or narration, because they also want to give their messages, or they also want to give some lessons, or they also want to give their researches to the society, and that is the honest objective or purpose of theirs. And that's why in the scientific journals also the scientific writers use the objective point of view or the narration. And this point of view can be said as a fly on the wall. Remember, this is called a fly on the wall. A fly on the wall means it is rather described as a fly on the wall. Means I will say it is the particular point of view or the narration which is suitable, which is useful, or which is complementary to all the narrations or to all the points of views in literature, or it is also called the camera lens. Camera lens. Remember, camera lens means it is very much important. Camera lens means it is very much, I will say, minute or analytical descriptive point of view, and that's why it is called camera lens also, or camera lens method also, to record only the actions of observations. Means it records only the actions of the observation, because camera is there and that camera records only the actions, or what is happening actually is recorded by that camera. And in this way, this point of view is called the camera lens, because it records only the actions of observation, but it doesn't show these actions, or relay the thoughts which are running through the minds of the characters. Remember, this point of view doesn't tell the doesn't show or doesn't tell these actions, or it doesn't relay. Means doesn't relay means it doesn't show the thoughts which are running through the minds of the characters, because the characters are there, and the characters think with the stream of consciousness, and there are the thoughts running in the minds of the characters, and such thoughts are not shown there. That is the important point. Here we have finished today's topic. We will again uh, come in front of each other with a new topic. Till then, I stop here. Thank you very much.